Hello everyone, welcome to another Disused Railway Explore. I'm with my dad again and I'm on the Isle of Wight, which is where my dad lives and where I grew up. There's loads of railways down here, loads of disused railways, loads of infrastructure. So over the next however many months we'll be going out each time I'm down and go and find a different one. This one is the Newport, Godshill and St Lawrence Railway. This was built 1897, but it went in 1952, so it was the last one to arrive on the island. It was the first one to leave, but there's loads of remains. So first of all, we're going to start off at Merstone Junction, which is where we are now. We're going to have a look what's around here. Need to stop me eating like this, and then by the fifth time it's just awkward, isn't it? Here we go. So it was an island platform. Behind us, where we're kind of walking from a bit, that would go into Newport, which is the capital of the Isle of Wight. And it went on that way forward into Sandown. But our railway that we're following then sort of veers off to the right from that, down towards a place called Ventnor. And here's what it looked like in its heyday, I guess.
Yeah, this would be the train to Sandown, straight down the line that we're on, and this would be the train to Ventnor West. There's two stations at Ventnor. One was what they call in the Isle of Wight the main line from Ryde to Ventnor down the east coast, and then as you say, the last railway to be built on the Isle of Wight was this one. It's a beautiful branch line, and there's a lot of remains, as we'll see, but it lasted less than just a touch over 50 years. Yeah. That's all it lasted. It was a beautiful line. You'll see the beautiful countryside, but you can't really see an economic reason to build it.
No, not really. And when the Southern Railway took over in the 20s, they literally closed every station, just made everyone an unmanned halt. I think, to be honest, most of their stuff was milk, wasn't it, on this line? I
it probably would have been, passengers. Yeah, because this is where we are now, just about here. And across the road, as we'll see, the Ventnor West line veers off, and the Sandown line goes straight on. And there was a signal box. Here we go. In the signal box just before the level crossing at the road at the end. And it's interesting to me because when you look at, say, this picture here,
because that was in its last year, wasn't it, for this particular branch?
Yeah, 1952, year I was born actually. But you see how rural this island was. I mean, it still is, but phenomenally rural. Now you've got buildings and houses going down into the village of Merstone, which you didn't before, but this was an incredibly rural line.
It's a big old platform as well, this, isn't it?
Yeah,
like when you look.
They didn't mess about, did they?
There is the sign, and I'm pretty sure that this, obviously it's not an original station sign, but I think half of it is, from what I can see. So that's the station building there, isn't it? The footprint, it's in the middle. Yeah, you can kind of make it out, like this, just the shape of it.
Yeah, it was like straight down the middle. And what they had, I mean, when I first came to the Isle of Wight in the 1950s, and I absolutely fell in love with the railways because it was like Thomas the Tank Engine. You know, they had all these engines, O2 Adams tanks, which went back to the 1800s. And they all were named after different places on the island. You know, it literally was like Thomas the Tank Engine. I absolutely loved it. But this line was closed in 1956. So I only remember Ryde to Ventnor and Ryde to Cowes.
Yeah, that's stone. I think that's the original station sign, because it used to be made out of stone, didn't it?
Yeah, it did made out of stone, and later they did some concrete ones as well.
Yeah, that's the original. That. Wow.
It was just a beautiful little junction in the middle of nowhere, then in the middle of the countryside. And I mean, the Isle of Wight was just the most phenomenal. You know, there are 33 stations, 55 miles of track on the Isle of Wight. It was phenomenal. You can go anywhere by train.
I like little touches like that. So I mean, just a little suitcase. It's just something in it, just to remind people of what this was. And where this blue van is on the right, that's where the signal box was there. I don't think. I remember. I think when I was a kid that there was still, it still had the ground frame there, but
Yeah,
I don't know if that's gone now.
What you've got now on the Isle of Wight is that a lot of the railways have been turned into footpaths. You can walk all the way from Newport, the market town, all the way to Sandown on the old railway line. And we're here at Merstone, and that is the line going off down to Sandown. You can walk the whole way, like I say. And the one we're interested in, just across the road, turned away and went to the right. And that's where we're going to go, the Ventnor West line.
Okay, so we've just come across the road, what would have been a level crossing back in the day, which I guess, you know, with the lack of traffic back then would have been fine, but now, you know, even though we are quite rural, cars are still flying up and down here dead regular. So we're going to walk off now and try and see what bits of track bed we can find, because as my dad said, you can go all the way to Sandown in that direction, you can go all the way to Newport in that direction, but this line, it's a little bit more sporadic, so we're going to have to get on, walk a little bit, explore a bit, come off, walk round on the road or whatever, all the way to Ventnor. It was originally called Ventnor Town Station, and then they changed the name. Southern Railway changed the name to Ventnor West because it didn't go in the town.
No, it was to the west.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing was that we'll see a bit later. It got to St Lawrence, like you said, in 1897, and it was another 3 years before they got the few miles onto Ventnor West because of wrangling. I think we've got a story to tell about that when we get there.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I can tell it now actually. So basically, Ventnor, this line went as far as St Lawrence, which is a tiny, tiny place just outside Ventnor, and they wanted to build it into Ventnor, but the land they needed, because it was clinging to the cliff edge, so you know they didn't have a lot of choice of where it could be, was owned by Steep Hill Castle, and lots of different people owned that castle over the years, and they refused to sell it. So in true sort of money power style, a mysterious bidder came along and offered quite a lot of money for the Steep Hill Castle and all the land, so they sold up, and it just so transpires that person that bought it was actually a director of the Newport, Godshill and St Lawrence Railway, and shock, he gave him the land, and so they built Ventnor West Station, or Ventnor Town Station as it was then, on top of the old stables.
And it was interesting, as I said earlier, you know, all the effort and money that went into building this line, and yet it went through it went through Blackwater up towards Newport, it went through Merstone, then it went through Godshill, it went through Whitwell, and then St Lawrence, and then into Ventnor West, and all those places apart from Ventnor are tiny little villages, or were then.
Tiny villages,
and you just wonder why. I'm glad they did, mate.
Yeah.
It must have been a beautiful railway.
But it's a weird one, because I understand going to Ventnor, because, you know, Ventnor's a seaside resort and it was huge in Victorian times, but it already had a station.
Yeah.
They already had a main, as I say, a main line. There's no main lines on the Isle of Wight.
No, but
they're all single track.
It was the main line, branch line.
Yeah. There we go. So this is the Sandown line actually, and what we're going to do, we're going to nip off here and go and try and get onto the Ventnor West line. I'm a bit of a sucker for a bridge. I do like a red brick bridge.
Yeah, it's a lovely bridge. It's just a little rural road which we're now going to walk along, and it will take us and bring us back to the Ventnor West line. And there's, like I say, quite a lot, well, more than quite a lot, that still remains.
So if you can just make out that tree line there in the middle of this cornfield, it's corn I think, isn't it? That's the line. And actually where we're going, you see that big hill in the distance, that's called St Boniface Down. Ventnor's actually on the other side of that, so hence the tunnel, which we're going to come to later. Hey sheepies, how are we doing? Just chatting to the sheep. We're nearly at the track bed now. We've had to come, you know, around the sun to get to the moon, as it were.
As I remember, Gaz, as we turn left on this footpath here, the line is there, and I remember seeing it a few years ago now. I remember seeing a kind of a bridge or a viaduct in there.
Actually, in
among the trees, yeah, because this is the line here now. That's the embankment. You're looking up there.
Got you. Here we go, coming up onto the trackbed, I think.
Here we go.
So there's a footpath back to Merstone Lane. Bohemia Corner. Oh, there we go.
Goes on the normal footpath that way to Godshill, but we are going to walk down the line. This is the Ventnor West branch.
Look at that. You could probably go over it now, just climb on the tree. Apologise for the wind, everyone. As always, not that it's my fault, but it is particularly windy today.
And so here we go. We go up this.
Oh yeah, we're on the trackbed.
We're on the trackbed.
There we go, straight as a die. Bang.
It's a very straight railway for a long period. This was.
Went over there. Oh, break my ankle. Beautiful views as well, isn't it?
Beautiful.
As well.
What you often forget is all the trees. They weren't there when the line was open, so you had this panoramic view, both sides. And if you look through the trees, look at the panorama of that
Oh yeah.
countryside landscape.
Oh, what? So this was a brick viaduct over here then?
Kind of, yeah.
Wow.
It wasn't actually a brick bridge.
So this is the trackbed. They've turned it into access now to the farm.
Yeah.
The railway came across.
And it went straight over here. It's still on the embankment, and it went straight across that field.
Okay, so we've had to come round on the road because the trackbed ended, but we're now at Godshill station, so we just turn you around. You can make out that it's the original station, but they've done a hell of a lot of work on it. It does look great. Excuse the wind. There you go, station house. That was the station building there. Obviously they built a really nice extension on it. It does look posh. I'll try and get round and see if you can see the platform the other side. I'll send the drone up as well, so then you can see it, obviously. But it is also someone's house, so I don't want to be filming too much. But you can see that's the station building. You can make it out, can't you? But like I say, it's someone's gaff, so I probably won't go around onto the platform actually.
We put down here, guys.
Oh yeah, see that's original. Look, that would have been there back in the day. Oh mate, how old is this as well? That's old school, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be there at the time. That would probably be a gate across the line,
Yeah.
because the line was here.
Yeah, straight through.
So here's the station then, on the platform side.
Yeah. So there you go. Godshill railway station. Amazing. So we've come round because again you couldn't get through. It's just field, so we've had to sort of go on the road and then back down. But we found a beauty here. There we go. Look at that. I'm the same as you, Dad. I knew this was here, as in the walls, but I didn't realise that you had the coping stones.
I've
still
just
there
noticed
as well.
that. The times I've been past this bridge in the last 40 years, and first time I've seen them, you know.
Yeah, both sides as well. Look.
Yeah.
He's quite. People drive down here a bit quick, so I'm stood in the middle of the road. I'm quite aware of it.
You build a road, especially roads these days, and you're taking a lot of land. But a little branch line, look how little land it took to link these places together.
Yeah, just a single track. So beyond there, obviously you can't get up there, but beyond there is just fields. It used to be a massive embankment, didn't it? You used to be able to see from the road, but I think that the farmers have knocked that down, unfortunately.
Yeah, you remember that?
I do remember it, yeah.
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 And it was basically on an embankment from here, right across what is now a flat field, into the entrance to Whitwell Station, which is still there.
So let's go and explore Whitwell Station. So here we go. Whitwell Station. It did used to be a hotel, didn't it? Or a holiday let or something like that. You could stay there.
I'm not sure if it was changed into a private dwelling, as they say, since then. It was certainly a holiday let at one time, and they've kept it very well. I mean, they've even got the sign here, look.
Yeah.
Whitwell Station.
So
Private residence, yeah.
Oh look, you've even got...
they have moved it to a private residence.
They've even got the old electric connector. What are they called? I don't know what they're called then.
Telegraph.
Yeah, that's old school.
Yeah, and so again, look how little land it took.
Oh, that wasn't here before. That's great.
I've seen it before. Yeah.
Look at that.
1897.
Hardly any life.
1952.
There's some real original stuff though. Even this is old school, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bit of track there.
Such a beautiful line it was.
Beautiful
I know I keep
station.
saying it, but my God, it was.
But yeah, someone's private house now, but
Yeah.
stunning. Oh, it's a vineyard by the look of it.
Yeah.
Oh mate, bucket list. Living in an old railway station with a vineyard.
Yeah, they've kept the
Oh yeah, the old post box as well, look.
yeah,
It's amazing.
the awnings and everything, and
Incredible.
brilliant. I'd love to go up there, but I don't want to close yourself on.
Oh yeah, someone's house here.
It is amazing.
Yeah, it came across there. There you go, field of sheep. Look at that station. Looks incredible, doesn't it? Amazing.
Yeah. Tell me the one thing that's not right about it. The solar panels.
Okay, so we've come out of Whitwell now. Dad, no remains that side. So the railway's in here, and it came across. This was called Dean's Crossing, and that is the crossing guard's house there. You can see that. That's red brick. That's Victorian, same era, 1897. And that through there should be the St. Lawrence Tunnel. It's known as the, is it Top Hat Tunnel?
I think High Hat Tunnel.
High Hat Tunnel.
Another name I see they've got for it.
Yeah, so I don't know the reason for that factually, but when I was a kid, this was a mushroom farm. So I'm assuming the High Hat is maybe, is that a kind of mushroom? Is that a, you know, people at home might know the answer to that. I'm not sure, but...
I vouch for your superior knowledge on mushrooms, Wayne.
Well...
I just eat them.
Yeah.
Oh,
You okay?
oh.
What'd you do?
I just got a hell of a whack.
Oh. I've not been stung yet. I'm going to say that now, just so that when it happens, you can go, ooh. Because it happens every time, doesn't it? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Right. Now it is all overgrown with stingers, so this could be fun. Okay, we can't be far away now.
I've been stung, guys.
You've been stung.
Yeah.
The man in trousers is stung and the man in shorts is going strong for now. I honestly don't remember it being this far. When I was a kid, I swear you just came off the road and there was the mushroom farm, but it's a bit longer this. But it's nice just to be able to walk on a bit of track bed as well, because we've kind of been a bit deprived of track bed on this one. But that was the reason for doing it, because as we said earlier, it was the last railway to be built on the island and it was the first one to be taken away. So it had such a short life and it's been gone for 71 years. So any remains are a result.
Nice trick.
It looks like ballast, doesn't it? It's still about.
When we're at Whitwell Station, what a substantial station it is for a village.
Yeah.
Like Whitwell, as Whitwell was when it was built, and at the substantial station at Godshill, they really, you know, if they built a line like this now, they'd have a bush shelter on it, wouldn't they?
Oh, absolutely.
Platform and a bush shelter.
So we're about to walk into a very dark tunnel, hopefully. I'm pretty sure you can get into it. Now, as a sort of sideways bit of information, the Isle of Wight isn't white because of the colour of the white cliffs. It's white, spelling W-I-G-H-T, which is basically loosely translated as a being that's between two realms, isn't it, Dad?
Yeah, kind of interdimensional entity, that kind of feel. It was a question on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire once, actually, what is a wight? And of course, the Isle of Wight is famous. You go in the little bookshops and you see all the books about haunting.
Yeah, it's famous for
hauntings
ghosts.
on the Isle of Wight, ghost sightings on the Isle of Wight, they're legion. Or he.
So with a bit of luck, we ain't going to get hit by a train in this.
Here's a tunnel. Oh, this end is.
Oh wow!
This end is very open.
I didn't know this was here as well. Look at this, in the cutting. What's in there? I guess because this was a deep cutting, that's where workmen would hide out if a train came, I guess.
I suppose so. I tell you one of the things that always strikes me, Gas, when you go through these one-track tunnels, is how little space there is around the train as it goes through.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
My God.
Oh, you'd have to have some serious courage to be in the permanent way gang working in these tunnels. Right, I've got a torch. My mother-in-law's given me a torch kindly, so we'll be able to see a little bit. Oh, let me get you your torch as well, Dad.
So this tunnel went straight towards the sea, basically, and then it. Oh, there you go. Whoa! It's
Jeez Louise.
It turns just before the other end. It goes down on the cliff edge to the cliff edge, but on the embankment going down to the cliff edge, all the way into St Lawrence and Ventnor West.
So it's why you basically can't see the other end, isn't it? Because it has a big turn.
Yeah, it's a big bend, yeah.
This torch is doing nothing. Absolutely nothing.
This one's doing nothing much, but... Oh, what's this? Oh, this is a mushroom stuff, isn't it?
It could well be, yeah, because it was a mushroom farm for years.
It was definitely, yeah.
There's the alcove, look. Where you'd hide out if you were... God, you'd brick it, wouldn't you? If you were working in here and suddenly you heard a whistle.
Yeah, and it's... And I mean, look at this. It's so little room
to dig in. That's actually quite big for them as well, because sometimes they're often smaller, aren't they?
When I was on a Leicester newspaper once, I did a story on this lovely girl. She was a teenager then, and she had brain damage, but she's just absolutely lovely girl. And she and some friends had walked into a tunnel like this. Do you know when we did the Great Central one video, and we went to that Swannington line?
Oh yeah.
Well, it was the tunnel, Glenfield Tunnel, and she went in, and she got hit by a train.
Jeez.
Because they obviously didn't know about the enclaves and stuff, and that's how she became brain damaged.
Poor thing.
So this goes dead straight. You can see it here, and then what?
I'm glad you can see. I can't see anything. I can see
you.
you.
Use your imagination, you can, yeah. And then it turns on the end. And you've got a story, haven't you? About you were telling me a story of a prisoner, a prisoner.
Yeah. So
what happened?
Right, I'll hold this underneath me. So it's like telling a ghost story. So basically, in about 1905, it was called a consumption hospital, but I'd known it as the old TB hospital.
Yeah, a friend of ours actually went there, didn't she, when she was a kid?
Yeah, in Ventnor. So there was someone in there, obviously who had TB, and they attacked another patient, and so they were arrested, and they were put on a train to go to Newport to go into the cells, and they snuck out the train in this tunnel to escape. But as they did it, because it's not a very big tunnel, they fell and whacked their head. So when they got to this end at Dean Crossing, the police officer obviously comes out into the light and is like, oh my goodness, the inmate's gone. So they walked back through the tunnel and just found him lying on the floor. Survived, so that's all right, and then carted him off to hospital. But yeah, it's pretty hard to see in here.
There's another
one, yeah. It's just darker and darker.
To be honest, if you were in here and you started hearing the train, they're not that close together, these things.
No, they're not, no. You'd seriously have to leg it.
And then you've got to go, where's the next one? Where's the nearest one?
Yeah, we're underneath St Boniface Down pretty much now, aren't we? I mean, that is some hella amount of...
Kind of on the edge of it, yeah. The tunnel that goes directly through St Boniface Down is the one that goes into the other vendor station on the main line branch line.
Yeah, that's owned by Southern Water now, isn't it? I think they use it for something. Yeah.
Do you know that was another thing? When they closed the Isle of Wight railways, they've just left Ryde Pier Head to Shanklin now. They said we've got to closed the line from Shanklin to Ventnor on the mainline branch line because of the problems with the tunnel into Ventnor, and then they kept the tunnel open for Southern Water. Yeah, so that was a good story to close the line.
That reminds me of when they wanted to knock down Ryde Pavilion because it wasn't safe in the 1980s, and it's still there now.
It's still there, yeah. Bloody liars. Oh, there's another one.
Oh, careful, Dad. You can't see beneath your feet very well, can you?
Oh, it's getting a bit lighter now. I don't know why it's getting lighter, but it is.
No, this is about 600 yards, this. That's a deep one. That actually looks like it's a door to somewhere. Oh, God, don't start me on that. Yeah, that's rock. That's the rock.
I mean,
Wow.
We talked about this, I think, when we did the Great Central video, but just take this. This is a little branch line between linking villages, small villages, so small villages then, even small now. And you've got this tunnel, and you think of the work that went in to just building the railway from Merstone to Ventnor West through this tunnel and on the embankments and all the other things that we've seen. It's unbelievable. And you look at all the railways of Britain and all the work that went into them, and all the work that went into this one, and it lasted little more than 50 years. Bloody sad, I think.
Yeah. Here we go. So here's the bend. I think there's some more stuff from when this was a mushroom thing, because this is carried on for a while.
I didn't realise how far into mushroom farm came.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because we're right at St Lawrence End now, aren't we?
Yeah. It was actually based on the principle of government: keep them in the dark and feed them bullshit.
There's a
whole
population of mushrooms at the minute.
Yeah, well, actually, the bend was quite late. It was dead straight. The bend was quite late.
Yeah, it's right here, isn't it? Right at the end.
Here's the other southern level of it.
Lots of old tarpaulin. That's what that's all about. I'm hoping mushroom related and not serial killer related.
I don't know about you, I'm keeping the light on the floor, or I'm going to go.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to go all my length, as my mother used to say.
It does feel like it's sand underneath as well. That's sand, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
There's another one. That's quite a big one, and it goes right into the rock. Look, you can see what it's bored through. So with this tunnel, they started at each end. They started boring through from each end, and they hit right in the middle. Unbelievable Victorian precision. It's mad.
That's right. I read that. They started both ends, and when they met in the middle, they were almost exactly the same.
Yeah, I think it was something like a foot out, which is just insane.
Extraordinary builders and designers and engineers.
So when we come out of here, I think there's a couple of houses in the way, so I think we need to come off the track bed, and then we'll get to St Lawrence Station, which used to be the end of this line. For 3 years, between 1897 and 1900, it was the end of the line before what we spoke about earlier, that wrangling over the land was settled, and Ventnor Town Station, later Ventnor West, was built.
It makes you wonder, Gaz, how many people travelled on the train between 1897 and 1900, when it was just a handful of villages, and of course St Lawrence's station is miles away from the village.
Yeah,
down the bottom of the hill. All gold. There you go.
It is an amazing tunnel though, because if you look, you've got these stones.
Got what?
The stones, and then all the way along, it just suddenly they brick it at the top, don't they? Red brick at the top, and then stone. I wonder what that was all about.
Well, I'm in awe of these navvies, these navigators that built these, and also the designers who actually designed them and put the whole thing together to be made. It's just extraordinary. And when you see the scale of railway building in Britain,
oh, amazing!
Oh, dear,
it's crazy as well, because when they were building this, you know, it wasn't like they had like big lighting rigs and stuff so they could see what they were doing. They would have been doing it with what? Candlelight?
Yeah, and they had very, very little technology, and they blast things open, but it was just amazing what they did. So much of it was done with a shovel.
Oh, right.
Oh.
Geez, your eyes have to acclimatise, don't they?
So here's the other end.
It's a beautiful day now as well, folks.
We're now on the track bed of the old Ventnor West line.
You can see when my dad was saying about basically hugging the cliff, there's the edge there, you can see. And the line just kind of skirts across.
Yeah, it was just like, it was almost like on a ledge. And then, because this is called the undercliff, because over the years lots of the cliff has fallen, and it's basically gone in different levels down to the sea, which is still a long way down. And what they said, and you can understand it, is that from here to Ventnor West was the greatest views on the Isle of Wight railways of any of the lines. And of course all these trees wouldn't have been there, all these bushes wouldn't have been there, and you would have had this panoramic view across from the train to the ocean. And if you find a place to look through the trees, you can get a feel for what they would have seen with all this
Yeah, foliage out the way.
Foliage out the way, yeah.
Or undergrowth. I'll say undergrowth just for Phil's benefit.
Yeah, you can see through there the all the way down, because obviously those houses weren't there. It was all rural down to the sea. It must have been fantastic.
Yeah. I think it's houses now, isn't it? That they come across the track bed, so we can't continue on the track bed for a bit, which is annoying. But
Yeah,
what it does mean is we can come off and I can show you those views that my dad's talking about across the English Channel.
Example. Here you go. Perfect.
There you go.
Take the houses out.
Look at that. Next stop, France, isn't it?
Yep.
So you'd be thundering along in your train, looking out the window at that. That'll do.
And it goes all the way down to Ventnor. But
Yeah.
the next station, St Lawrence, which is where it stopped in I keep saying 1897. That's a private home and still there.
We're on the road now, coming up to St Lawrence Station, 'cause obviously the track bed's taken up by people's houses. And Dad was just saying, so these houses behind us there, you see that there's almost like a little kind of wood. It's almost like a kind of Shakespearean sort of vibe going on.
Yeah, kind of Swiss cottage sort of thing.
Yeah, but a lot of the stations on this line have that. So Dad was saying like Godzill's got it. I mean, it's difficult to tell now because obviously they've done loads of updating on it, but it did have that. Whitwell Station had it. St Lawrence Station's got it. I think Ventnor West is the only one that hasn't.
Yeah.
So maybe it was a fashion in 1897.
Well, I think, the railway builders and the railway owners, they were all trying to, it's a bit like billionaires owning football clubs today. They're all trying to get one over on the other. So they had their little quirky bits.
Yeah.
And this is a very quirky station that we're coming up to now.
Oh yeah, we can see it now. Okay.
In fact, as I'm looking at it, unless they've painted over it.
No, I can just make out
Can
the
you?
wood bits. Yeah, they've
Can you
painted
make
it.
the wood bits?
I vaguely remember it being blue and white when I was a kid,
I do remember the wood bits, but
like Obelix's
I
pants.
wonder if they've I wonder if they've taken it down, but they haven't.
So there's the track
Painted over
bed.
it.
There's the track bed
Oh,
there,
here's your track bed, yeah.
coming along.
You see how narrow it was.
Yeah. No passing loops at all. There was a passing loop at Whitwell, which I think they took away
They took away, yeah.
in the 20s, the Southern Railway. Part of me wants to say that they push-pulled on this line.
They did. They did it. Certainly at one point, they absolutely did. And it was like, I think what do they call it? One engine in steam system, which means there's only one steam engine on the line at any time.
Oh, okay.
Hence, they didn't need passing loops.
Which meant there weren't that many trains, so no wonder they didn't make any money. Well,
Yeah, well,
they obviously didn't have the... Sorry, mate, you'll watch out there. Get run over. Look at that, that's the station. St Lawrence Railway Station.
yeah, but by the time Ventnor West was opened, the other Ventnor station was firmly established as
Yeah.
the route you took to get to Ventnor. So it was all a bit of a dog's breakfast with that 3-year wait as well, on top of everything else.
Well, the thing was as well, even if you come out of that station, or if you come out the Ventnor West station we're about to, see it says St Lawrence Halt, look, that was a halt from the 20s. They were unmanned stations from 23, I think. But yeah, if you came off the train at either station, whether it be Ventnor West or Ventnor Town Station, and you wanted to walk to the beach, good luck with your bags.
Yeah, and walking back would have been interesting and all.
It wouldn't have been great fun, no. But look at that, yeah, here's the bridge.
So I would keep going back to it, but when you see the station here and this narrow cutting it's in, and this was the terminus of the line.
Yeah, this was the terminus of the line up until, yeah, 18.
Look how narrow it was.
So down there they filled it in a bit, but that's the railway station there, St Lawrence Station.
Single platform, obviously.
Single platform, yeah.
Single line.
And then the other side.
And on it went from here to Ventnor West.
I think they've filled that in with rock. You tell me, because you can see, I can't. There you go, yeah, they filled that in, unfortunately. And it went off there. But as Dad was saying earlier, you know, like the views, look at that. Amazing. So we're in Ventnor now. The track bed cuts away there and off to St Lawrence, which is where we've just been. But then the road becomes the track bed, and obviously we can walk that all the way to Ventnor West Station. It's in the middle now of quite a modern housing development, isn't it, Dad?
Well, it's quite an extraordinary sight, as you'll see. You've got all these modern houses, and sitting right in the middle of them is this Victorian railway station building. It's quite unique, really.
Okay, so we're on the track bed. As my dad was saying, modern houses, very modern houses. And then there will be a great reveal.
And again, you can see the view you would have had, because when you look at the old pictures of the Ventnor West Station, it was all rural. It was all in the countryside. None of this was even thought of or imagined. All this modern estate. It was a lovely little French line terminus, Ventnor West.
I think they've painted it with the old Southern Railway livery as well, by the look of it, which is a nice touch.
The Southern Railway livery was a bit yellow, but more yellow, and the green was a bit greener, more and more green, but got the feel, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was 2 platforms and terminus station, and in among all the modern is this Victorian gem.
You can see the bits of wood coming out as well. That would have had the canopy on that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That would have held the
Ventnor
canopy.
West Station. There you go.
Yeah, and there's a plaque.
Site of Ventnor West Station. Originally Ventnor Town. Closed 1952.
And then what?
It's a substantial station too.
Yeah, it's big, yeah.
But the end of the branch is small.
Yeah. Buffers, passing loop. I'm wondering what that is, Dad, as well there. You see just after the top?
Yeah.
See, that would have been around the same era, so
Yeah.
I'm wondering what that was. Or it could be related to the stables and the castle that was, because obviously this was the land that was actually the stables for Steep Hill Castle before the director of this railway bought it. And
I see pictures of horses and carts, buggies coming up that rise there to pick passengers up, take them into Ventnor, this is part of Ventnor now, but in those days Ventnor was further over there before it really started. What a lovely building.
yeah, it's beautiful.
It's a lovely building, and
That'd be the waiting room there as well.
yeah, and the Victorians did things with style, didn't they?
They did, yeah. They didn't, yeah. No messing about. So that's the end of the line. We've walked from Merstone Junction, and we've followed the.
Yeah, with you. There you go.
We've followed what was the Newport, Godshill, and St Lawrence Railway up until 1897, and then obviously this was built in 1900. So we followed it a little bit on and off, obviously, because a lot of the track bed isn't there, unfortunately. But still a hell of
buildings
a
are.
the buildings are all there, and a hell of a lot remains as well. And we even got to go through St Lawrence Tunnel, which was dark and creepy, but still quite an experience. As always, thank you so much for watching. Every time I come down to the island, which is a few times a year, to visit family and stuff, we'll go out and do one, shall we? And we'll cover.
Certainly will. There's lots to see.
Yeah, we'll cover the whole railway network on the Isle of Wight eventually. But until then, excuse the wind. We have got the English Channel there doing that, so we'll see you next time.
Cheers. Bye.